Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, please don't come at me for my Christmas background. I'm not over Christmas yet. I was watching a Christmas film last night and I don't know, it just kind of feels like we skipped Christmas this year, so I'm gonna leave this up just for this video. I promise in the next video I will have taken down my Christmas decorations, but I just couldn't face it today, so I've still got my tree. So I do one of these videos every single year. Today I'm going to be doing my best makeup of 2020. I nearly said 2019, but I think it's just because I've just been watching my one from last year because I wanted to see if my products have even changed that much. I do have some favourites in here which have been solid favourites for a few years, but there's also quite a lot of new things in here that I've discovered during the course of this interesting year. I will leave everything linked down below in case you guys are interested, and also the way that I've done this video and organised all the products is I've got my drugstore favourite and then I've got my high-end favourite. So for each product, there's drugstore and high-end options just to show like what my favourites are in each category. So I hope this is helpful. Please let me know down below what your favourites of the year are. If there is one product in particular that you discovered this year that's absolutely blown you away, please let me know because I love seeing other people's favourites so that I can then go out and buy those products and try them for myself. So I hope this is helpful. I always struggle with narrowing products down in my favourites videos because I'm constantly switching up my makeup routine. For example, I'm going to start with primer because that's what I put on my face first. I switch up my primers all the time and there's been lots of different primers that I've just trying to get through this year to use them up. But I would say the primer that I've used the most this year, and also a primer that I think I only discovered this year. But yeah, I started using this when I moved into this house because I actually worked with KVD on a video. If you didn't know, KVD was formerly Kat Von D Beauty, but she actually completely is detached from the company now and it's just KVD Vegan Beauty. She sold it and she's not a part of it. But they do some fucking sick products. I know it's been popular for ages, but it's the hydrating primer base and it's the locket primer. Something really strange that actually happened this year is my skin kind of changed completely. I think it's partly due to age because I'm getting old, and also as well I think it's due to the fact that I switched my peel and my skin has kind of changed since then. It's not as oily as it used to be. It's still oily, but it's nothing compared to how it was, you know, when I was 18, 19. But I think that does just happen as you get older. But I don't just stick to matte products. I use a mixture of hydrating and matte products really. But this primer is really, really nice. It's a creamy type formula. It's not one that's going to make your face super matte, but I wouldn't also necessarily say that it's super hydrating. It's kind of like a nice in between, which is why I like it. And I just find that my foundation sits nicely on top of it. I don't find that any of my foundations have separated or like balled up and gone weird. Over the top of this, it's a really nice primer. And to be completely honest, I haven't used that many drugstore primers this year. I do tend to lean towards some of my higher end primers, but I think it's just because I don't have that many drugstore primers. But if I had to pick a favourite, I would either go for the Barry M primer that's like this, but it's in the purple bottle. But I think that was my favourite from last year. So this year I've gone for the Barry M Pixie Skin Blurring Beauty Elixir. It's a very similar type of texture. They're both white, creamy sort of primers. The KVD one is a little bit thicker. The Barry M one is more of like a serum, but they both feel really nice on your skin, make it smooth, and I don't find that they make my foundation go weird. So look at me having a favourite primer when I never even used to wear primer. Remember those days? It feels like yesterday, and I'm turning 24 next month, and I'm having a bit of a quarter life crisis. This year has been the year of the tinted moisturiser because I have done not a lot this year, to be honest, and most of my time has been spent in my house or in the garden or going for walks or going to the supermarket. And oh god, I've got primer in my hair. I'm definitely totally fine with going out with no makeup on these days. However, we all know this here that I do use fake tan quite a lot. Most of the time I am fake tanned, believe it or not. This is me with fake tan on, and I have loved tinted moisturisers this year just to make sure that my face matches the rest of my body because the tan wears off my face a lot quicker than it does on the rest of me. And if I just want something quick to throw on my face and even out my skin tone, give a little bit of coverage and make my face match the rest of my body, tinted moisturisers and CC creams, BB creams, all of that kind of stuff has been my best friend. My favourite high-end one that I've discovered this year is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturiser Natural Skin Perfector. This has got SPF 30 in it and I've got the shade 2W1 Natural. It's just a squeezy tube and I just blob some of this all over my face, rub it in with my fingers and usually put a little bit of something in my eyebrows and then I'm good to go. But it's a really nice texture. concealer. It's nice and hydrating, and it just gives a little bit of coverage, evens out your skin a little bit, and yeah, I really like it. I can see why this is popular. Drugstore, I've got the L'Oreal Skin Paradise Tinted Water Cream. You know what? I think I've actually used this one more than the Laura Mercier one. This is the shade Light 01, and I have spoken about this quite a lot on my channel, I think, at least a couple of times. It is so lightweight feeling, and it feels so thin. And as soon as you blend it out, the reason it's called the tinted water cream is because it literally almost turns to water. It's so thin, but then it still has that extra bit of coverage. This has definitely got a bit more coverage than the Laura Mercier one, and I think, or like, yeah, I would say this one takes it just slightly. It's really nice. 2020 was the year that I found my favourite foundation that I've ever tried. Well, actually, the years before that, I would have had a favourite foundation that I've ever tried, because, you know, ever tried is up to that point. Basically, I don't know if I will find a foundation that I like more than this. This foundation, the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, I think this will be the foundation that I wear on my wedding day. I love it that much. I always used to bash NARS and be like, why is it so expensive? You don't need it. Like, it's a waste of money. You can get just as good stuff in the drugstore. I hate to be one of those people, but this foundation, I've never found anything equivalent at the drugstore, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, the drugstore has some amazing stuff, and I love drugstore makeup, but this foundation is so lightweight. It's got amazing coverage, but it doesn't even really feel like you're putting foundation on your face. It doesn't feel thick. It feels soft almost, but it covers so well. This is the perfect shade match for me when I've got my tan on. It's shade L4.5 Vienna. Without my tan, I wear the shade, let me tell you, Mont Blanc, which is L2. Like, yes, I've tried some great foundations this year, but nothing beats this one. In terms of the lasting ability, it's not the most long-lasting foundation that I've ever tried in my life. Like my Maybelline Superstay, for example, that one just fully sticks to your face and lasts like 24 hours probably. However, when my oils start to come through with this, it doesn't separate. It doesn't start balling up in my like creases of my face. It's magical. It's really magical stuff. Drugstore foundation, I've got to say, one that is probably the most similar to the NARS one that I've tried. I haven't tried a whole lot of drugstore foundations this year. I need to try some more. If there's any new ones that people would like me to test, let me know. But an old classic, the L'Oreal True Match. I actually mixed the shades 2N and 4N, and I still have not tried 3N. But this foundation is really beautiful. Again, it's got really nice coverage, but it doesn't feel too heavy on your face. It doesn't feel super like sticky and thick. It still feels quite light, but also has a really nice amount of coverage, and I love this foundation. I still love my Revlon Color Stay, but I think I've actually probably used this one a little bit more this year. Oh, and by the way, I have the NARS foundation on my skin right now, if you were wondering. For my concealer, high-end concealer that I'm not going to go into depth about at all because it was in last year's favourites, but my favourite concealer of all time still is the Too Faced Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, and I wear the shade Almond. Beautiful stuff. When I'm not wearing tan, I wear the shade Snow. A high-end concealer that I've discovered this year and hadn't used before and absolutely fell in love with is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Complete Coverage Serum Concealer. This is the shade Light. My only issue with this concealer, they don't have many shades at all, which I think they need to. Bare Minerals, if you're watching this, please expand your shade range on this concealer because it's a gorgeous formula, and I've really got on with a lot of Bare Minerals products this year because I've had all sorts of issues with like flare-ups with eczema, mostly around my eyes, but this concealer I haven't found stings or burns my under eyes or anything, which is quite important. It's definitely more of a glowy concealer. It's not matte, and it's not the most full coverage concealer I've ever used, but it's got really nice coverage and it just blends like a dream. Bare Minerals, I love this, but please expand the shade range. And then a drugstore concealer, which I only kind of rediscovered in the past maybe 6 months, but I would say that this is the one that I've probably used the most this year from the drugstore, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible More Than concealer. Only issue with this, they have quite a lot of shades, but the shades for me, that I need one that's in between. So I use the shades Cashmere and Latte, but Latte is a little bit too dark, Cashmere is a little bit too light, and so I kind of have to mix these together, but it's a beautiful concealer. Really good coverage, definitely more of a matte full coverage concealer, extremely similar to the Tarte Shape Tape, the Revolution Conceal and Define, and the e.l.f. Camouflage Concealer. That kind of vibe. It's got a really big doe foot, and yeah, it's a really, really good coverage. Oh, I forgot to mention as well about the Bare Minerals concealer. The applicator is really thin and flat, but really flexible. So it gets loads of product on there and it spreads so nicely on your face. Like, just putting this on your face is so satisfying. I've got a lot of face powders. Absolute favorite powder of all time. So far, I will say, I jumped on the bandwagon with the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'm not that mad about it because it's really good. And I've spoken about this in a lot of videos, but this loose powder, it's just really good. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. It smooths your face nicely, it sets my makeup perfectly, and it's just a brilliant loose powder. I've used this for months now, and I've still got loads left. Just a fail-safe powder, Laura Mercier translucent powder. But another close second, I just had to give this one an honourable mention, because again, I hadn't tried this until this year, but I know that so many people have raved about the I nearly said Kat Von D, KVD Vegan Beauty translucent locket powder. People have gone on about this for years, and it's really, really good. The reason that I slightly prefer the Laura Mercier one is because I would say the Laura Mercier one is a little bit more smoothing. This one isn't quite as smoothing. It's a little bit more dry, but it's really, really nice still. Drugstore loose powder, I've got to go for the I Heart Revolution peach powder. This is a really nice powder. Doesn't really smell of peaches that much, which made me kind of sad, but this is £5 and it's really, really nice. The colour in here does look a bit peachy, as the name suggests. It looks like it could come across a bit pink, but I find that on my skin tone it just kind of comes across as translucent. There's like deeper ones and there's a lighter one, which is the coconut one, but yeah, I really like the peach one. It's really, really nice. And then pressed powders, I've barely used these on camera, right? But this is the Benefit Hello Happy Velvet Powder Foundation. The reason I haven't used this a whole lot on camera is because, again, the shade range just is not great. Benefit, if you're watching this video, please bring out more shades in this powder, because it is such a good powder foundation for adding extra coverage. One of my old favorites was like the MAC Studio Fix powder foundation, but I had one of those and it was too light for me, and then I got sent these ones. I've actually got the shades 2 and 4, and I kind of mixed them together. Again, should probably just try 3. This seems to be a running theme with my makeup. So if I have a blemish that I can't cover with my foundation and concealer, I will set it with this powder because it adds a little bit of extra coverage. And yeah, I don't know if you can see that there. Shade 2 and then shade 4. And a drugstore equivalent of that one is the Revolution Pro CC Perfecting Pressed Powder. I've got the shade beige. Unfortunately, I haven't used this that much this year because it's a little bit too light for me. I would say this one has got a tiny bit of, it's not shimmer at all, but it's just got a tiny bit of glow in it. But this one is very, very light, which is why I haven't used it a whole lot, but it's a really nice powder. For my bronzer, I would say probably my most used bronzer of the year is, again, another Revolution Pro one actually. This is the Revolution Pro Sculpting Bronzer in the shade Bahia. As you can... Well, I mean, you would be able to see if it would stay open. There we go. As you can see, I hit pan on this year. I absolutely love this. I need to clean the mirror because that's disgusting. It's a really nice shade and it's not completely matte. It's not super pigmented. My preferences with bronzers are like not too pigmented, the tiniest bit of sheen, not sparkle, just not completely matte, and this ticks all the boxes. Doesn't quite overtake my Kiko marble bronzers, but Kiko is still playing around with us and not making their marble bronzers permanent. So maybe Kiko, if you make your marble bronzer permanent, it would have had a feature in this video. And I have to say, I have used that one more than my high-end new discovery of 2020. This is the NARS Laguna bronzer. I've got Laguna Original and I've got Laguna Matte. It's a nice bronzer. It's really nice. This one is slightly more cool toned than the Revolution Bahia bronzer, and I will just say this now for any makeup artists watching, I don't really contour my face. I like using warm colours to sculpt and bronze my face at the same time. I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but I mean, it works for me. So this is a gorgeous bronzer. It's a really nice colour. I know that NARS do other shades in this bronzer, but yeah, again, it's not completely matte. I mean, obviously the matte one is matte. Oh, and the matte one I use for my nose contour. Again, probably a bit too warm to be using for a contour, but I mean, it works for me. For my blush, my high-end pick of the year, actually, I've got 2. My high-end blush of the year is the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur Blush in Coral Cloud. This has been in so many videos, quite a few favourites videos, I think, of the year. It's just a beautiful blush shade, and weirdly enough, it's actually a cream blush, but it's cream to powder, so I don't find that it disturbs my foundation at all. It just blends in beautifully with my makeup, and that's with my face powder on. Feels kind of similar to the Colourpop blushes, but I just absolutely love this blush. It's got a little bit of glow in it, but not shimmer. It's just really pretty. I love the colour and I love the formula. Another little shout out that I do have to give, I'm including this in here as like an honourable mention because I did only recently discover this in the past few months. This is the NARS Orgasm X palette, the face palette, and in here you get 2 blushes and a highlight. The blushes are also absolutely gorgeous. This one is Orgasm, and then this one is Orgasm X, which is like the intense version, I guess. I actually think I prefer this one, but you need the tiniest little bit. I actually brought this with me when we went to Cornwall, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. They do have quite a lot of glow in them, the blushes, but I really, really like them. I do like a blush with a bit of glow. I don't use the original Orgasm as much because it's not my favourite blush ever, but this one is absolutely stunning, and mostly I'm showing you this palette for this highlighter because oh my god. Can you see that? This? Excuse me? But I've got to say, I've actually got a dupe for that highlighter in a second, so I will show you. And then drugstore blush, I don't actually really have one from Superdrug or Boots, but Kiko's blushes, I'm really sad to be mentioning these because Kiko, I need to find some permanent products from Kiko. I've got quite a few products downstairs that I need to test from Kiko because they do have permanent products, but I always just seem to fall in love with their limited collections because one of my favourite affordable, I would say, blushes of the year is the Kiko Waterflower Magic Blush in #1 Peach Tree. Not only is the packaging absolutely beautiful, and it did have this print in it which is slowly fading of a flower, it's such a gorgeous blush colour, so pretty. This one is pretty much matte, I would say, but it's absolutely beautiful. I don't actually know if they sell that one anymore. If they don't, one that I've been using since I got this actually, which is part of their Christmas collection this year, this is the Holiday Gems Plush Suede Blush in 01 Cinnamon Crush. This one looks like this, so it's not quite as peachy, but it's still got the same, okay, no it doesn't. I was about to say it has the same sort of colour. This one is definitely a little more of an orangey peach. This one is more of a pinky peach, but I don't know why I'm swatching them on the palm of my hand. They're both such gorgeous blush shades. Highlighter favourites this year. Don't ask me why I've got 5, just leave it out, okay? I'm just going to show you the NARS Orgasm X highlighter. Can't even get over it, it's so beautiful, but I've got some dupes. One of the dupes for that highlighter is from my Revolution palette. I know everyone's probably sick to death of me including this in every single favourites video, but I swear to God, this is my favourite highlighter palette that I own. This shade in particular looks suspiciously similar to the NARS one, which is probably why I love the NARS one so much. So if I just do a little swatch of this shade here and put it next to the NARS one, they're pretty similar. I would just say the NARS one is a tiny bit darker, but they are very similar. Another highlighter, which is very similar, which I think I discovered this year. And oh my God, this is absolutely stunning as well. This is the Revolution Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter. Did I just say Revolution? I meant to say Revlon. Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter in 201 Daybreak Glimmer. They do also do this in other shades. It looks like dragon scales, but as you can see, I've put a hefty dent in it this year. This is also stunning and is also extremely similar to the other two. Another one that is absolutely stunning. These are all like baked formula of highlighters. Another drugstore one that I'm just going to mention, which is another one that is a baked highlighter and is also quite similar, is the Revolution Pro highlighter in Focus. I love the packaging of these. It's really cool, and it's got a mirror as well. This one looks like this on the inside, and it's another gold toned highlighter that's baked. I've got a bit of a thing for them, if you couldn't already tell. They all look exactly the same. They're all beautiful. You can decide which one you go for. Two highlighters that are a bit more expensive that I absolutely love are the Rach Loves and Pixie palette, which is the Glow On Layers highlighting palette. Oh my God, these highlighters are beautiful. Okay, watch this. Nothing, I feel like a magician. Nothing in my hands. Pow, 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 pow. They're just beautiful. Oh my God, so stunning. How am I gonna swatch this? I've swatched them up my hairy arm, which is not very helpful. But oh my God, those highlighters are absolutely stunning. Although, what is this? Like, no, nobody wants a purple highlighter anymore. I know I had one in my Soph palette, but like this is just extreme. Anyway, another highlighter, which is actually different. I swear to God, this one's different to the others. The Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten. This is the weirdest highlighter texture I've ever felt. It's putty, so it's, oh, stop closing. It's squishy, And I was actually recommended this by Kira Bridget in my non-beauty gurus pick my makeup video. She suggested this and she was like, it's not even that good, I just love playing with it. Kira, you lied. It's really bloody good. It's so thin and so wet looking and reflective. It's an absolutely stunning highlighter. Although this one's a little bit more on the pink tone, whereas all of the others that I just rubbed into my, oh, I didn't rub them in yet. All of the others that are on my other hand are more gold, which is my preference. Eyebrow products. I'm pretty sure these are the exact same favourites in last year's video. So I've got all my Benefit products, which I've spoken about a million times. I was actually lucky enough to work with Benefit this year, not this year, last year, in 2020 quite a lot, which was amazing. So thank you Benefit for working with me. But this is not sponsored. Like, I don't have to include these products in here, but these are the brow products that I've definitely used the most throughout 2020, just because I have not yet found an eyebrow pencil that I prefer over the Benefit ones. This is the Precisely My Brow pencil. I use the shade 3, 3.5 and 4 depending on how I'm feeling. And then in terms of brow gels, the Benefit Gimme Brow in 3. This has been an absolute godsend for days, like I said, where I just put on tinted moisturiser. I just want to run a little bit of colour through my eyebrows. I will use the Benefit Gimme Brow, which again, I feel like I've spoken so much about these products that I don't even need to go into depth with them. And then the 24-hour brow setter is such a good brow gel to just stick your eyebrows in place and they're not going to move. So that's another clear brow gel that I absolutely love. And then in terms of a tinted brow gel, which it doesn't quite glue your eyebrows in place, like it still leaves them a little bit movable, but adds a really nice tint and almost gives them that separated soap brow sort of look. This was also in last year's favourites and it's the Ico Brow Gel. I did crack open another one of these this year and I think it just comes in one shade. The brush is a little bit big, so you have to be careful with this, but it's a really nice tinted brow gel. I was so excited that 2020 was the year that I fell in love with colourful eyeshadows. Lockdown got me really creative and I started experimenting with a lot more makeup and a lot more colours. And now I love colourful eyeshadow, which is pretty great because the year before that, I would mostly stick to neutrals. I think my favourite palette that I tried this year out of all of my testing videos has got to be the Nikkie Tutorials and Beauty Bay eyeshadow palette, because look at these colours. The shimmers in here are just unbelievable. Like, I've never experienced anything like these shimmers in my life. Let me just rub these highlighters off my hand and swatch them. Oh, every time I pick this palette up, sometimes I just sit here and swatch it because honestly, they're so gorgeous. It's a beautiful palette and I do have a whole video on this, so I'm not going to ramble about it for too long, but Nikkie, congrats, you win the year with your eyeshadow palette. So that was my favourite high-end palette, but it was only, I think it was only £25, or was it £30? It was still affordable, so I don't think it really counts as high-end. But others that are probably around the same price, to be honest, that I've absolutely loved are by Rude Cosmetics. They make some brilliant eyeshadows. This one is called City of Neon Lights. If you want a neons brights palette, this is stunning, absolutely stunning. I have used this in a video. I can't remember what video it was, but if you type in Soph Does Life and then Rude Cosmetics, maybe even type the name of the palette, because I usually link everything in the description, it should come up with a video where I use this. And then also as well, this is probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes that I've tried. It's the Rude Cosmetics Roaring 20s Reckless palette. They have a few of these palettes and I've actually got one of the neutral ones, which I'm yet to try, so maybe I should do that in a video soon. Another stunning palette. Like, the shimmers in here are so beautiful, the mattes are beautiful, they blend really nicely. I'm just very impressed with Rude Cosmetics, and yes, I haven't used this a whole lot this year, but I would still say it makes it into my favorites because it's beautiful, and I think Rude is quite underestimated. What's the word? Underrated. That's the one. That's the one. And then in terms of more affordable palettes, I'm not gonna lie to you, the one that I have definitely used the most this year, everyone is sick to death of me, I know, my Extra Spice palette with Revolution, the end. I'm not gonna explain it anymore because you've heard it enough. I am the biggest fan of my own products, I will tell you that now. Like, another eyeshadow palette which I'm actually wearing today, which is the perfect small little travel palette with just a few shades if you don't want to go wild and you just want some matte colours. The Beauty Bay EYN again, nude matte palette, which I absolutely love for looks like this. A neutral look with matte brown, it's got a black, it's got a matte cream colour, it's got all transition shades, everything you need for a little nude neutrals matte palette. These eyeliners I think were probably in last year's favourites. High-end liner, I still haven't found anything that beats the KVD tattoo liner. On par with that is the It Cosmetics liner, but I think I mentioned that last year. They're pretty much the same, to be honest. I've lost my big one of the KVD, which is a bit concerning. And a dupe for that, which I've rediscovered because I got a new one recently in NYX's Christmas collection. The usual packaging is black, but the Christmas one was in this hot pink. This is the NYX Epic Ink liner, and it's pretty much a dupe for the KVD one because it's got the same bristly brush, which is really fine. It's really black. It's also waterproof, but I didn't use this for a while because I had an old one, but my nib went funny on it and it started leaking everywhere. But now that I have a replacement, I've been using this a lot recently and I'm so happy that I have it back in my life. I forgot to mention other eyeshadow stuff. Eyeshadow primer. This year is the year that I really started realizing how important eyeshadow primer is. Two of my favorite high-end ones are the Anastasia eye primer. Absolutely love this. I know that some people don't like it. It's very thick and full coverage, but I really like it. It's gone, but I really like it. I also really like the NARS eyeshadow primer, which is the tinted smudge proof eyeshadow base, and I've got the shade Light. This one has got a doe foot, so it's really easy to apply, and I just put a bit on and blend it out of my finger. And then from the drugstore, I would say the Revolution Cut Crease Canvas. Again, it's pretty full coverage and it's kind of like a concealer, but it's not quite as oily as a concealer. I really like it for an eyeshadow base, and it's really good for cut creases as well, although I don't find that the brush is great for cut creases because it puts too much product on. Colourful liners and eyeshadow, like liquid eyeshadow type things. This year is the year that everyone went crazy for a graphic liner. My favourites are the ABH ones. These are expensive. They're really nice, but this would be my high-end pick. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think you need the expensive ones, although it is pretty cool how they do this and they're like all joined together. If you're looking for good water activated liners, those ones are really nice, but others that I have that are a lot more affordable are the Makeup by Tammy cake liners and the Barry M water activated colours. These are very, very similar and they're all kind of really similar, but these ones are a lot more affordable, so I would recommend. And I've got the shade Sky in Tammy's one and just the white one by Barry M, which is called Shock. And oh my god, cream, shimmery, glittery eyeshadows that you want to put over the top of an eyeshadow look. These I only discovered recently, but these are some of the best cream shimmer eyeshadows I've ever tried. The KVD Dazzle Sticks, this one is the shade Hail Surge, and it's a twist up stick of eyeshadow. But oh my god, these are absolutely stunning. I don't remember the last time I was so blown away by a product, so I had to put those in here. And a similar effect from a really affordable brand is the W7 Starry Eyes Metallic Jelly Eyeshadow. This is the shade On the Cusp. I haven't used this that much this year, but it's stunning. I was searching through all of my eyeshadows, like what can I use as a drugstore equivalent? This is beautiful. I actually got this in TK Maxx, and oh my god, it's so pigmented and so shiny and kind of dries down. And so if you're looking for something super metallic to put in the center of your lid, that is an absolutely stunning cream eyeshadow. And I've had this for about a year and it's not dried up, which is a massive plus. I would say my favorite mascara discovery of the year is the Bare Minerals Lashtopia mascara. This is actually what I've got on today, and I've actually nearly used this up. I need to throw it away soon because I mean it's really old and kind of a bit gross. One thing I love about this is it comes off so easily. I think Bare Minerals use a lot of like natural stuff in their makeup. Again, don't find it irritates my eyes. Gives really amazing volume and length. It's really black. It's a brilliant mascara, and I hadn't really tried that many Bare Minerals things until this year, but this mascara is so good. I absolutely love it. It reminds me a lot of the, what was that mascara called by Stila? Was it by Stila that also comes in the silvery gold packaging? I can't remember, but it's a really nice mascara. Another mascara that I've loved this year is the KVD Go Big or Go Home, for the precise reason that yes, this gives really nice definition and length and volume. It's a little bit more clumpy than the Bare Minerals one, but this one also doesn't flake on me or smudge throughout the day, which is so important for me with mascaras. And also the matte, what is this called? In something Dimension 3D Black Lash. This mascara is so good. It's a plastic brush and it's a huge brush, but it's so volumizing. The bristles are so short, but you get a lot of volume with this and it really separates your lashes Absolutely love that mascara. I've only got the mini one from a video that I did probably like a year ago. But if I want another mascara that I know isn't going to let me down, this one. And then drugstore mascaras, my 3 favorites. Revolution's Mascara Revolution, which I've been through so many of these mascaras, probably like 3, which is a lot for me because I have so many. This one is brand new in packaging and I'm waiting to use up some of my others before I open a new one. But that is an amazing mascara. The L'Oreal Lash Paradise, I absolutely love this one as well. It's not a plastic bristle brush, it's like the sort of regular bristles. It's kind of like a dupe for the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, I think, but I prefer this one to the Too Faced one. And one that I've discovered recently, which I'm giving an honourable mention to because I have not stopped using this since I got it, the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. The brush is so tiny and skinny and thin. It's a plastic brush, but this is amazing. It's such a good mascara and I'm so annoyed that I hadn't tried it till recently because I think this has been out for like more than 10 years, but it's really, really good. I missed a product. This is a cream contour, which I meant to talk about when I was talking about my bronzers. This is the So Sue contour stick in the shade Warm. I absolutely love this and I don't really use cream contour that much, but this has made me do cream contour a lot more than I normally would. It blends so beautifully, and again, I have used this in a few videos and I absolutely love it. It's the best cream contour stick I think I've ever tried. And finally onto the lips and what I've got on my lips today. Actually, I'm only going to talk about 2 lip liners because there's so many lip products that I could choose from. A lot of them I spoke about last year and I still have continued to use those, but I would say my most used high-end lip liner this year is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk. Mine is getting smaller and smaller. It's just the perfect, it kind of matches my lip colour, to be honest. It's just a pinky toned nude, which is my favourite. Anything that's like my lips but better sort of colours are my favourite lip liners because I just whack them on with a bit of tinted lip balm, which I'll show you in a sec. And my drugstore pick that I've only really discovered and started using recently, but all of my other drugstore lip liners I've spoken about in so many videos, like the Milani one, the Rimmel one, the Body Shop lip liner that I use a lot. This is the NYX retractable lip liner in the shade Nude, which I love how you don't have to sharpen it, and I do have this on today and oh my god, it's so similar to the Charlotte Tilbury one. It's just a tiny bit more cool toned and yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a great lip liner. And then what I have topped this like I line the outside of my lips and then I usually just use a bit of tinted lip balm, and these ones are the Fenty Beauty Slip Shine Sheer Shiny Lipsticks. I love the shade 05, but I've lost it. So I've got to show you 06 and 04, which I've got layered on top of each other today, and I love both of these. They are a bit more than a tinted lip balm. It's kind of like a sheer lipstick, because I would say they've definitely got more pigment than a tinted lip balm. This one is the shade Retro Rose 06, which I absolutely love. This one is pretty much the same colour as my lips. And then this one is a little bit lighter, and it's 04 Makeout Break, and I absolutely love the formula of these. They feel so moisturising, and I have lived for moisturising lip products this year, so I absolutely love these Fenty ones. I still love my NARS ones, but I spoke about those last year, so I'm talking about the Fenty ones this year. I think that's everything. Setting spray hasn't changed. My favourite still is the Urban Decay All Nighter. And I really like the Charlotte Tilbury one as well. Drugstore setting sprays, completely honest with you, haven't used them that much. I haven't used setting spray that often this year. Yeah, I think that's it. Where's my remote gone? Those are my favourite makeup products of the year. This is going to be the longest video ever, but I hope that was helpful. I will link them all down below. Favorite things in the world. Okay, I'm gonna go, but yeah, I hope you're all doing good and I will see you in my next video. Bye.